Sorry about yesterday, we didn't broadcast a video. But today we're going to be talking about racing games. I have Kayla and I have Assassin. Well, today we're going to be talking about how racing games have changed over the years. From a fixed racing point to open world and the graphics of the cars. Alright, Kayla, do you have anything you want to pitch into this? Bring you in first.
Well, let's start back to Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64, for example.
Well, Mario Kart started on the sorry to interrupt you. Mario Kart started on the Super Nintendo, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's talk about Super Nintendo. The graphics back when the Super Nintendo started was like in the 1990s, I believe. I think. For them it was like a computer game basically, and then it went to the Nintendo 64, then the graphics got a little bit better, then just went to the PS1, I believe. The graphics were on there. I mean, the racing games were on there.
How about you, Assassin?
Well, I'm probably the youngest one of the crowd, and I started playing. My first racing was Mario Kart 64, like Kayla was saying. Mario Kart 64 compared to the other ones before it was actually very different. In a way, it was a different thing to go with, but it was different than the other ones before it, because it was more. Yes, it was more. Of course, you have to more. There was more graphically intense, but you have a lot of. Basically, even to today, I could basically trade any game from Mario Kart 64 and play it. It's not because I'm a little biased to racing. I was a child, but, it was pretty enjoyable. It wasn't really been that many racing games that they, played and remembered as much as the Mario Kart series in general. Like Mario Kart.
Now, for me, the games that started out me racing and what got me into racing games was Midnight Club 2 and Need for Speed Underground 2. I love the open world racing more than I like the fixed point racing. It's probably why I never played Gran Turismo. But I can honestly say Gran Turismo has pretty good graphics on it. Now, how the cars looked back then and when they started, they were a little boxy and blotchy, if you would say. Now the cars actually look realistic and actually look like real cars. And I really do enjoy that. Especially the effects when the water hits them, and they added in little stuff like the windshield wipers working like on the crew. And that's pretty good. And I've been a really big fan of racing, and when Midnight Club Los Angeles, the complete edition, came out, I played that every day. And even though the mods kind of ruined the game, and which is alright, because everyone, when that happened, everyone had their own taste in their own cars. But other than that, racing games have really turned out really decent over the years. I mean, it's just amazing how much detail they put in these cars. And the environment around them has changed. And even the cars that, like access cars. I remember on Need for Speed Underground 2, the cars that you would see driving on the road by the AIs were all boxy looking. They all looked the same. Every one of them. And over the years, that has changed, and I'm really glad that has changed, because the cars don't look like your grandma's old school box boat looking thing. Do y'all have anything else to put in?
Well, I played Midnight Club 3, and Midnight Club 3 was actually very good for the time it came out. You know, it's just probably like serious long time ago. So that probably came out what like early, like 2005 on that area. And it was good for the time, you know. I didn't play any other Midnight Club after that though, so I'm kind of biased a little bit to that game. Because like, well, to me that game is like the best and never to be chosen. That was my thing with Midnight Club. And you know, after you know the whole Gran Turismo and all that stuff, all that is a lot of fun. I played I don't even know how many Gran Turismos in the last few years. And even till today, you know, I'll go back and play Gran Turismo the rest of the week. It's a good game.
Sorry to interrupt you, Assassin, but I can barely hear you.
Alright, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's a lot better. But yeah. I agree with what you said. I mean, yeah, a lot of the games have turned out very well. I've never played Gran Turismo myself, but I've been seeing gameplay of it, and the game looks really decent. It's just a whole fixed point, and not being able to drive around in an open world kind of bothers me a little bit. But I remember playing Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo and playing with my aunt when I was a young lad, as you would say. And I really came a long way in my own little bit of racing, because usually I couldn't win or do anything. I would always wreck, and if I got really upset or really mad, I would turn the car the opposite way and just try to crash my aunt. Especially on playing on the N64 and playing NASCAR.
I never liked NASCAR.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, NASCAR gaming has really changed after the past.
Oh yeah. NASCAR gaming has really changed over the years, especially some of these rally game racing games.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that changed in the past, like basically like probably like 5-10 years. You know, before there was more circuit racing. It wasn't really like free rounding. Now you have a lot of free rounding racing games. You know, before it was more like standard to one track, or you know, to one specific circuit. Now we have Formula One. Now we have NASCAR. Now we have a whole bunch of different racing games. Before it was only like kind of like you only have one choice, and that one choice was like either a very simple racing game or basically none at all. So you know, your choices were very limited at the time, and even, you know, yeah, you know, now we have a lot of choices, but, you know, sometimes it gets crazy in the gaming community.
That I can say, because going back on a couple of videos back, we were talking about piggybackers. Now on the crew, you can be doing like crates and stuff and running races, and you got these people that will just piggyback off you just to get points so they can unlock parts for cars or get these cards that would get you actually pretty decent vehicles, and they will just piggyback off you for those pieces, and it's really upsetting that they don't want to do the work themselves.
Yeah, you know, me as a gamer that, you know, that basically has been that played these games for a while, like, you know, like I don't think, you know, you can't really, when you play a racing game, you kind of play them all, but, you know, you get connected to some of these specific racing games. Like, for me, you know, anybody who knows me, Mario Kart can never do no wrong. You know, I've played Mario Kart from, like, the original one when it was Super Mario Kart, and, you know, it was, you know, if you look at it now, it's, yeah, people say it probably plays like crap. You know, I'm not saying it doesn't, but For me, it's still a lot of freaking fun, and I'd rather play that more than any other racing game you give me. You know what I mean? Because then, for people who've probably been kind of connected to those games for years, you know, it becomes kind of part of yourself.
Now, for the N64, I actually had a steering wheel for Mario Kart, and my cousins used to come over to my dad's house, and I let them have the controllers while I used the steering wheel with the gas pedal, and they would get so mad at me because I could actually turn better than they could.
Yeah, but
And then,
the whole steering wheel thing, it's crazy. Like, I actually know what it is because I actually used to use them back then. I still use them sometimes. If I have the money to afford them, I would, but they're not the cheapest toys out there.
oh no, they're very expensive, especially the newer ones that had the clutch and the shifter and all that with the e-brake. Oh yeah, those things cost a pretty penny.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to always go to the arcades, and the arcades always had those kind of racing games. They were a lot of freaking fun. And when I grew up, you're like, now I'm like, wow, like, look at all these racing games and all these cool stuff that we have. But me personally, sometimes I wish we could go back to what the original game was. That's just me though. I'm not saying everybody thinks the same way I do, but so my opinion, that would be kind of interesting to play back. I'm not saying to play back in the original format, but sometimes bring back those kind of very old and fun games that we had back in. Like they have Gran Turismo, they had Midnight Club 3, and that was a lot of fun. Like I played that one.
Ever played Juiced?
I don't think I played that one actually. I played a few racing games.
I'm trying to remember. I think it came out for the PS2. It was actually pretty fun. Now, I did play a lot. I didn't really get in. These are the racing games I didn't get into. It's like the AP8 dirt bike ones and with the four-wheelers. I didn't really get into those. And I didn't really get into the monster truck ones either.
Me neither. When it comes to racing games, I'm more like, I like my open world, I love my Mario Kart, but I'm very into Formula One, and actually, Formula One, that for me, that's the holy grail of racing games right there. There's a lot of fun. If you play with friends and, you have your community of people playing it, it's a ton of fun. Like, I loved it. It's, it's a ton of fun. I played, countless Formula One games already, and they're amazing. At least to me, they are. That's because I've been playing them for a while. But we have Formula One, we have, like you're saying, we have dirt bike, we have sports bikes, we have NASCAR, we have the open world stuff, and that's crazy. Like the whole racing community has changed, and now they're basically in that point that everybody's like, which one should I take, because there's so much of it to kind of go around.
Now, racing games, I've noticed how they've changed is they just don't have one specific type of car anymore. You can get everything from Lamborghinis to sports bikes to dirt bikes to old school muscles, and that's really enjoyable to me.
Yeah, it's the good thing of all these more modern racing games is that they bring the point of of reality to a different level. Back in I'm just putting right now, I'm a big fan of the Forza, Forza Motorsports, Forza Horizon. It is funny because I own a PlayStation 4 instead of owning an Xbox playing those games, but I'm a big fan of Forza and Forza Motorsports, and Horizon, whatever they decide to make on the Horizon and the Forza series. Their cars and their gameplay are phenomenal. Like you play that game and it's kind of like you're driving the real thing.
Now, on the Crew, what I've been playing lately, when you're on like certain types of road, when you're on dirt roads, it actually makes your car feel like it's actually on a dirt road. And same way with ice and rain, your car will slip and slide. There's a lot of times when I don't like driving on the ice on this game because you will hydroplane. And right now I'm driving a Malibu and I'm on dirt and it is hard to control on the dirt, especially around corners.
Yeah, it's crazy because you know the you know like what you're saying right now. Those newer racing games are so realistic that basically you can hook up a steering wheel and everything. You can basically teach a person how to drive.
Mm-hmm. Now, I like this game because it actually has a little bit of physics into it with the surroundings. Not all cars are good for like all things. You have to have certain cars to do certain races.
Yeah, that's pretty, and that point that's pretty good because then it creates kind of like a sense of like, oh, I need to buy this car because this car will help in the track, you know, in some specific track. You know, before, like in the early, like even in the early 2000s, you know, when we had like the earlier midnight club, you know, yeah, you have your D class and all these other classes. But the only thing that made the difference between the car you started with and the car you ended with was just the name of the car and how fast it went. You know, there's not that big of a difference between the track you run because it's like a Midnight Club 3, you know, yes, you buy a Viper and a Viper is like pushing outrageously fast, but there wasn't really a difference between the Viper and in the Lamborghini because the Lamborghini even wasn't they would go faster because you know they both ran the same way, you know, in both tracks. You could run the Viper in dirt and in the Lamborghini you do the same thing and they run the same way. You know, games have changed and you know the kind of like the revolution of the way they kind of steered also kind of changed. So you know. This is my little thing on it.
And what I've also noticed is the weathering. There's sometimes that you can get into a certain point on this game and it's like really pouring down on you and you can actually feel the resistance of your car through the water or through the rain. And also on other games, yeah, like you were saying, you could pick one car and beat the whole game with it, and it's not like that no more, and I actually like that more.
I do too, however.
Yeah, you know, before, you know, I'm a fan of very old American muscle. So, you know, I buy a Charger,
same here.
And, you know, that Charger is like the biggest, fattest toy in the beginning of the game to began because that's the way, you know, the game used to run. And the Chargers, you know, they're amazing, you know, muscle players back in the day. You know, you look at a Charger and you look at any other car, you're like, holy shit, what have you been on?
That's actually one of my dream cars. Is a '69 Dodge Charger RT. Duke's a Hazard Orange.
That's the way to go.
But this is the end of our video. If you want to hear more about this topic, please leave a like and a comment, and please go check out my friend Assassin's YouTube channel, which is Go Ahead Assassin.
It's the Assassin Taku, and yeah, you probably would you leave the link in the bottom in the description below?
To be honest with you, I don't know how to do that.
Alright.
At least I'm honest.
Yeah, I know. I'll put it in the comment and then I'll just put it there.
Alright. Well, have a good night, guys, and enjoy your night.
See ya.